it's just a different way to think of it. It's a different feeling. I love live theater. I absolutely love live theater, independent theater primarily because, as I think I alluded to, talking about living radio, even with the technical problems or like technical limitations that we had of putting it together in a physically distanced way, I'm here for the ideas. Like that's what I like in theater, and I feel like we can get weirder with the ideas and explore the limits a little more openly in independent theater. So that's why this is my world. It's my scene. And I missed that. I know it's a different limitation that you're dealing with when you have to be physically distanced. So again, that's another limit to explore, another confine to put on the art form to then find creative ways to work around. But something about not being with people really hurt my relationship to it. So I love radio plays. This project was always a radio play thing, but it was really key to me that we performed it live, and that was the initial, impetus of the whole thing. So, yeah, there's something about liveness for me that was missing and is missing in distanced radio, or excuse me, distanced theater in any way. Again, I don't want to disparage anyone who's making it because there's some really great stuff happening.
Well, I mean, I think that
just not my
some
thing.
people gravitate to certain mediums and other people to others, and it sounds like you really need that audience response in order to really be on your game.
For me, it's so integral to just the creation of theater. It's the art form that requires somebody to watch it for it to exist. And the act of spectating, I guess, is such an important component to the creation of the art. And I like that. It's part of a big part of like what I try to explore when I make theater in any form. And who is the spectator? How are they interacting with the work, and why? I like to try to work that into the narrative whenever I can. And yeah, with the Zoom thing, I don't know. There's also the whole pandemic depression that all of us had, and I had a new kid right before this whole thing started. So being a stay-at-home dad for 11 months was pretty hard to make anything at all.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah. And the depression too. It's such a weird thing because it's not like I've gone through moments of depression. Often it's after a big project, but there's something about the pandemic that I don't know. I even as a writer, I can't describe that feeling. It's so weird.
I feel like everyone had that initial I'm going to do all of the things sort of reaction to this thing. Well, I have to be home. Yeah. Now I'm going to start the Great American Novel. I'm going to record that record I've been thinking about. Oh, man, that play idea? That's totally happening now. And I had those reactions too. Here I am thinking like, oh, I'm going to be home anyway with this kid. Both my kids. I have two wonderful daughters, and one was born literally February of 2020. So I was like, oh, I'm going to be home. This will be great. We can... the kid will hear me playing music, and they'll see daddy being a writer and trying to write stuff and being a creative person and using this time of forced convalescence to do this. And it just didn't happen because there's a lot of other mental work that needed to get done survival wise, I think, for all of us through this thing. Yeah. And it was really affecting and really disappointing because it would have been nice to keep making stuff and even just at the level I had before the pandemic, but it went from this wide open I'm gonna be able to do stuff to I can't even do the little I was doing before I had all this time. So yeah, it was rough. I'm sorry. I feel like I'm coming out of it. Are you coming out of it? I feel like I'm coming out of it.
Yeah, I'd imagine it was probably a lot harder because you had a new child in your household. For me, I don't have that, and I also, for the first time in my life, I lucked out financially right before the pandemic, so I had kind of a cushion, so I didn't have to worry for a while. And my philosophy in 2016, after somebody got elected, was to use art as protest and to always create. This is why I love that quote. Always put an amount of creation out there commensurate with the damage you're seeing being done. Like, that's why I love that quote, because it really goes with the philosophy of the last 5 years. And at the beginning of the pandemic, I was just knocking off all of these writing projects I'd been wanting to do for like 20 years. I'm not going to say they were good. Some of them I'm not going to even go back to re-edit, but I had to do it. And then I ended up making a film in July of last year, which is now being finished and submitted to places. And that was very much a pandemic film. It's about loneliness. It's about a guy who lives in his basement and he's dealing with a sentient black hole that's overtaking his apartment, which is basically the art life during the pandemic.
Yeah, wow. Kind of hit that right on the head.
Yeah, and it was a wonderful art project. But as soon as I finished shooting it, I was kind of checked out. I was just like, you know what? Even if I know I have like another year of editing, blah 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 blah, but I'm just so tired of this, and I kind of would rather get back to work because I really liked the work I was doing. I was doing this, but for other people.
Oh, nice.
And
very cool.
When you can find the right people who are doing podcasts, they pay really well. And prior to the pandemic, for the first time in my life, I was getting paid what I felt like I deserved. And man, I just wish that none of that had happened. But you don't control the world, but you can control how you move through the world.
How you react.
Yeah, how you react. Yeah. But one of the answers, though, to me feeling like I needed to go back to work was starting this podcast. Because I always loved going to film festivals. I loved going to book readings. I loved going to gallery openings Thursday nights in Chelsea. Can't do any of that. I can't talk to anybody about their creativity or their process. And so it started a year ago this month, actually, this podcast. And now we're in the 60s as far as the number of episodes I have. So
wow, nice.
Yeah. And so I think that even post-pandemic, I'll probably continue this because I really enjoy it. I think it's a platform that works for me.